55 is real, presented by Tops. Check out Tops Project 70, celebrating 70 years of Tops baseball cards. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer for The Athletic. I'm with my co-host Eric O'Flaherty, former Braves reliever, and this is the Poop Salad Power Hour. What's up, Eric?
What's up, Dave? It's a good start.
Oh man. Um, well, we said how much this season has gone. It continued with the roller coaster. You go from the being swept for the second time by the Jays to going up to the Brewers, up to Milwaukee, and coming within one run of an even more miraculous comeback than they had in that game against the Phillies. Down 8-0, and you come back, get 7 runs in a span of. I mean, I've never seen the team score runs that quick to erase a deficit. It was 5 pitches.
It felt like it. Was it really?
Yes.
I mean, it happened like.
Yes. So you came within one run of sweeping the Brewers, settled for winning 2 out of 3, which, when you think about it, doing it without Ronald Acuna is pretty impressive, considering if somebody would have told you that 2 weeks ago, you would have said that's impossible for the Braves to go up and win a series, probably even win a game without Acuna when he was carrying the offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's Freddie's starting to hit, so I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of balances it out because they've basically done it with half of Freddie this year. You know, I mean, he hasn't been himself, so even the comeback attempt, he hits a grand slam in the middle of it.
Yeah. You know, what's crazy is he went 10 years without hitting a grand slam, and then he hit the 2 in one weekend last year.
Yeah.
Now he's got another.
That's baseball.
That's poop salad. Acuna, just for those wondering, he was out of the lineup all three games against the Brewers, but he's supposed to be back in it tonight. You know, he missed 3 starts after spraining that left ankle, which, you know, after he missed the first 2, I wasn't surprised when Snit held him out Sunday with that afternoon game and then flying back to Atlanta afterwards and all that. You know how that goes. So basically he had 4 days to rest before tonight's game. And I think he'll be back in there. But the fact that he went up there and hit and didn't really show didn't have a limp or anything tells me he'll be probably 100% when he gets in there tonight.
Yeah, he's probably going to be, you know, if you've ever rolled your ankle, it feels pretty bad. And I'm guessing that was the first time he's really done it like that. But it feels like a major injury. And then the next day it's pretty swollen up and it looks bad. And then it slowly gets better. He'll probably be, you know, missing a step, but it's not going to restrict him from taking full swings and playing. They'll tape it up real nice. But I think it was good to just be a little cautious with him on that.
Well, they were fortunate that Adrianza was back from the IL because getting by without him when you didn't have Adrianza, then you got to really shift everybody around. You know, you got to have Riley out in right field. And speaking of, man, Riley. I mean, people that were waiting for him to really fall off, you know, once he started heating up a few weeks ago, it ain't happening, man. The amazing thing is that he's doing it without hitting a lot of big home runs or anything. He's just hitting and drawing walks. I mean, this guy to me has really turned a corner. He's showing signs of really developing as a hitter. Mm-hmm. His recognition of the strike zone right now is pretty damn impressive.
Oh, that at bat he had against Hader too.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's as tough as it gets. And I was listening to Frank Core talk about it on the game broadcast, and it was like Hader kept beating him with fastballs, but he was recognizing pitches, you know, quarter inch off the plate, you know, worked the count, worked a great at bat, and finally got a slider in the zone and hit it to left. But I mean, that's kind of the thing with me when I watch Riley is when he's off, the zone's not there. The zone control, like he's chasing sliders in the dirt. He looks really bad. And then when he locks in, it's a totally different hitter. You know, I mean, what he's been doing the last few weeks, every at bat, you know, he's working good counts and he's getting pitches to hit and he's hitting them. But I haven't seen him. I mean, this how locked in he is right now reminds me of when he got called up, and we thought that's just who he was going to be.
Yeah. And when he got called up, he wasn't getting those sliders away where he was flailing at him either. But when they figured that out, they started throwing them to him. He was getting fastballs then. now people know what his weakness is, but he's not chasing those pitches and getting behind in counts where he's just hopeless. He just looks like a different guy up there right now. Totally.
Yeah. He looked like he was guessing a lot early in the year.
Yeah. I thought he was going to get rung up on that pitch because I couldn't see, when they showed the box or whatever, I couldn't see that it was off the plate the way the camera angle was. It was just, it was right where he was set up, but he spat on it. It was like a quarter inch off the plate, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. You see a dude start taking those. Yeah.
He was totally confident.
Start seeing guys lay off of those really, really tough pitches. That's why he got the slider he eventually hit, because they had to try something else. But when he's off and it looks like he's guessing and he's expanding the zone and chasing, it looks really bad. You kind of wonder, which guy he is.
Yeah.
Because then when he locks in, he doesn't chase anything out of the zone. I don't know if it's a comfort thing or something going on with his swing or an approach thing, but when he locks in, man, it's
like Chipper Jones up there with looking at balls quarter inch off the plate,
Yeah. And that's kind of what I always talk about, is if he can find a way to just shorten those stints where he's chasing and looks like he's guessing, and elongate this thing where he's locked in. It's hard to gauge where a player's really at or where he's going to be. But if he can have this plate discipline and the bats he's having, he's a totally different player.
Yeah. Now it's like before you stuck through all the slumps to get that, 450-foot home run every week. But right now he's only got 3 homers. It doesn't matter. He's hitting 291 with a 405 OBP. 4th highest OBP in the NL. And it's like kind of going against the grain entirely about what right now is the trend in the majors. He's kind of bucking it completely.
Yeah.
4th highest OBP among NF qualifiers. He's got 20 walks. He had 3 walks yesterday. Got reached base 5 times yesterday. 2 hits and 3 walks. And he was all over the place. And he's playing hellacious defense.
Yeah.
That backhand he's got, man, he fielded one a couple of days ago. The scorcher backhand. It was like, how did he even do that? And then he's got a cannon for an arm.
He has people that were
like, people that thought, you live with mediocre or bad defense because of his bat. No, he's a well above average defensive third baseman.
I've never worried about his defense.
Yeah, Chipper didn't either. When he was saying that, people were poo-pooing it and saying, if he's not hitting, you can't put him at third. But Chipper was saying this guy could be a Gold Glove caliber third baseman eventually.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah.
It's just those spurts where he looks lost at the plate, and sometimes it looks like he's never getting out of them. That first month of the season.
Yeah.
Like, you wonder which guy. It's easy to pile on a guy and think, oh, this is who he really is, or he sucks. They're normally somewhere in the middle of when they're hot and when they're struggling.
Yeah.
But you watch that and you wonder how he's going to get out of it. And then you kind of put a label on him. And then you look up now and how did he get from where he was, where his numbers were, how everything was going to having some of the best offensive stats in the league.
This is about I know he had that crazy 20-game stretch when he first got called up, but, when he was getting fastballs and crushing them. But this might be the best I've seen him right now. Just, it's an overall hitter.
Well, it reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when he first came up.
Speaking of Freddie Freeman, he's got 11 homers now. For a guy that was having a terrible year for a month, supposedly, he's got 11 homers now. It is past 8 games. That's one off the Acuna's National League, by the way. They're 1-2 alone. There's not even sharing with anybody. 1-2 in the league, 12 and 11 homers. And Acuna's tied for the major league lead. In his past 8 games, Freddie, I think he's out of the slump now. Past 8 games, he's hit 323, 10 for 31, 4 homers, 9 ribbies, 432 OBP, 710 slug, and that's 1142 OPS in his last 8 games.
Yeah.
That's huge for the Braves, obviously.
You're crazy if you think he's not going to hit.
Yeah.
It's, when he's struggling.
And Ozuna's hitting.
Yeah.
From both sides. They both hit some lefties in Milwaukee, and that was really encouraging because both of them were lost against lefties for the first five weeks.
You know how discouraging it is to come in to be a lefty and you got to face Freddie Freeman and you try to get ahead with a first pitch breaking ball and it's just out of the park to dead center.
Suter.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Grand slam off a lefty on the first pitch, that hanger curve.
Yeah, that's one thing that's changed a lot in the game too. That used to be a free strike. My first 2, 3 years in the game, I threw every lefty a first pitch, get me over breaking ball. And you were 0-1 on every single one of them. They either took it, or if you miss low, sometimes they think it was a fastball and swing at it. The first guy to ever just go up there, sit first pitch breaking ball, and take me deep was Prince Fielder. And I'm just sitting there like, what happened? I mean, everyone else in the league just takes that pitch, but I've seen Freddie do it a few times. I mean, guys are just ready to hit whatever you throw up there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember it being like that.
Yeah. There's no free strike, man.
Mm-mm.
I mean, there were guys like, remember Martin Prado?
Yeah.
Him with the first pitch?
Yeah.
Never swung at it.
Right.
I don't know if there's anybody like that right now. There probably still is one that I'm not aware of, that I'm not thinking of, but
there's so many guys though that are swinging early. Like when I watch Acuna come up in certain at bats, I'm like, you got to be a psychopath if you throw him a first pitch fastball right here.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you see him throw a first pitch breaking ball. He either takes a bad swing or takes it. But Freddie, that's the thing about him. It's a tough at bat as a left-handed pitcher because you don't get that free strike. If you make a mistake with that first breaking ball, it could be a homer. So now you got to make a good pitch with the breaking ball, and you throw it in the dirt. Now you're down 1-0. So you got to come see him at some point. And it shocks me every time I see a lefty do that. Just sit first pitch breaking ball, or just be ready to hit so much that they can handle it. But that's one thing Freddie's really good at.
It's funny because I just looked this up now that you mentioned that. Remember Vlad Guerrero? And he was like an anomaly at the time because he would swing at anything. He was the best bad ball hitter ever, probably in the Hall of Fame, at least in the modern era. But he swung at the first pitch 48% of the time.
Yeah.
And that was like crazy then. I think there's probably quite a few guys doing pretty close to that right now.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it's because it's not anywhere near the zone because people are aware that they'll swing the first pitch like Acuna.
Yeah.
But then Prado, Wade Boggs, by the way, his career 7.7% of the time swung first pitch.
Yeah.
Martin Prado, I remember him like 4 out of 5 years he led the majors in least. I mean, he just went up there, bat on his shoulder, basically. It's like, okay, give me a strike because I'm not swinging.
Yeah.
That's just the way he did it. He's gonna watch see what the pitcher's got. But yeah, it's just changed. You're right.
I think the mindset's changed too because the bullpens are so nasty.
You get to hit.
Yeah, and the bullpens are so nasty now.
Yeah.
The whole game plan used to be you want to get to the pen. You want to get that start out of the game, work counts. And when I talk to players now, they're like, I don't want to see the bullpen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to get the starter out of the game. You want to do your damage against him. The bullpen comes in, everybody's throwing 99. And, if you watch the game, sometimes it's all over the place, but that's still a lot less comfortable at bat than a pitcher throwing 93 with control and hitting spots.
Yeah, you used to see a variety of arms come out of the bullpen, and then your closer, your setup guy might be the hard throwers, but now it's like 6th inning, 99,
Yeah, it used to be 6th. If you could get to their pen in the 5th or 6th inning, you're getting that reliever that
you're getting Josh Tomlin then.
Every time, almost every time. It was 89. The guy could maybe locate. He might have a decent slider, but that was the lineup's chance to do damage was off those middle relievers. There aren't really middle relievers anymore. There's guys with bad numbers, but they all have closer stuff.
Yeah. Braves are in 3rd place in the NL East, 2 games behind the Mets. I thought the Mets were starting to pull away a little bit, but here they are, 2 games. And the Mets come in for this 3-game series. Max Fried against, I always wonder if I'm saying his name right. It's just Taijuan Walker, right?
I think so. I'm Taijuan Walker. Yeah.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker. They got him tonight. Walker's 3-1 with a 2.20 ERA, the Friday night matchup. Fried's looked great in his last 2 starts since coming off the IL. So I think that's going to be a really good matchup. When I looked at him, it's Charlie Morton is going game 2 against TBA. Have they announced that yet? Who the Mets pitching? Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Let me look on their site while we're sitting here. And then you have game 3 is Drew Smyly, who's also pitched really well his last 2 starts after being a disaster before that, going up against David Peterson, who's 1-3 with a 4.86. So good matchups for the Braves, depending on, on Tuesday who they've got. They got a chance here You need to win 2 out of 3. You don't want to lose 2 out of 3. You need to win 2 out of 3 or sweep the Mets. If you sweep them, you overtake them. So, I will see probable pitchers. Let's see if it's up on the Mets site. Got it up for the Saturday game. We've got Charlie Morton against. Oh, and by the way, as I look at my slow internet doing this is the last day we tape on this slow internet, dude. I made the move.
Did you? Good.
I made the move. I'm dropping AT&T and going all Xfinity, Comcast, because they were doing my cable TV before, but I had AT&T for the thing. I went in only with the intention of trading in I had all these what they call legacy boxes. It was like what people have had the boxes for 15 years and they haven't changed them. But all the new boxes have all the voice technology and all that, the like Siri, but it's for your remote, just like HBO or ESPN, So I swapped I had 4 little boxes in my big box. So I had 5 TVs. I took all my boxes in, swapped them.
You have 5 TVs?
Yeah. And I've spent the last 2 days changing over all the boxes to the, you got to go through the remote where you sync it up with your TV. So you can.
Why do you have 5 TVs?
Got one in every room, man. Got to be able to watch wherever I am. I got one. I got my big one in my living room. I got one in my kitchen. Have it on whenever I'm in there. I just leave it on. I got one in my bedroom. I got one in the basement or a workout, my pool table. And I got one in my office down in the basement.
Damn. We
5
got
TVs.
2.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow. And your kid takes up one of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just cartoons all day. It's awesome.
So I went in just with the intention of swapping all those boxes, and the guy, and I told the guy, I said, I'm thinking about doing this. I shouldn't have said that, but I said, I'm thinking about dropping, but I'm gonna call AT&T and give them a chance to do a better deal. But the guy said, I can do. He asked me how much I was paying AT&T. I told him. He said, next thing you know, he's selling me. I got the whole bundle, and I'm saving like $50 a month, and I doubled my speed, my internet speed.
Yeah, but Comcast will get you. Your bill's going to be triple in like 3 weeks.
Nah, it's a 2-year deal, so it stays the same for 2. And I said, how much will it go up in 2 years? He goes, probably 30 or 40, but just call again. We'll stay.
Comcast, you just threaten to leave, and then all of a sudden they can knock 60% off your deal.
They're all like
you got to
that.
call them every couple of years and tell them you're leaving.
So I'm going with their super duper. It's not the very highest end like office stuff, but it's the next one. So
good.
The speed is supposed to be twice. So I just can't wait to not have to worry about that damn spinning wheel and shit when I'm streaming TV or whatever. Okay, getting back to this. Dude, I was looking at the Giants, who are still in first place in the West. I mean, that's as surprising as anything. Everybody thought the Giants were going to suck again. In the West, they thought there would be eons behind the Dodgers and the Padres, right? Well, we're 4th of the way into the season now, and they're still in first place. They're 24-16, right? So, former Braves Alex Wood and Kevin Gossman are a combined 8-0 in 14 starts for the Giants. They're the best 2 starters right now. Wood has a 1.75 ERA, 0.944 WHIP, 35 strikeouts in 36 innings. Kevin Gossman, he has a 1.84 ERA at 0.839 WHIP and 59 strikeouts in 53 2/3 innings with like 12 walks.
Well, I think it's good to pitch in the NL West again. I've just been watching, and I see so many balls that feel like they would have been gone the last few years, kind of die at the warning track. Ozuna hit a couple. Yeah. I think the change in the balls is just giving guys like that a shot, especially a guy like fly ball guys that are used to giving up, a few more homers. So now you go into NL West, you got San Francisco's a big time pitcher's park. LA's a pitcher's park. San Diego's a pitcher's park. Arizona's tough. But again, if the ball's not flying as much there, and then Colorado's a nightmare. So you got one park in your division versus the NL East. Ball flies at Truist, ball flies in New York, ball flies in Philly. Nationals pretty fair, and
Marlins is still
Marlins
not nearly as big as it used to be.
Right, they made it smaller. It was huge when they built it, but
huge. It was it was the pitcher's park when they built it.
even just what that does to your confidence, not giving up as many home runs, not giving up that fly ball that you feel like you made a good pitch. I mean, that puts so much more pressure on you as a pitcher when anybody can go. Marcus Stroman was going oppo taco with those old bars.
Yeah.
I mean, he went opposite field. So, I mean, I think it's just more fair. So you're probably going to see some more pitchers, putting up better numbers that you might not be used to.
Gossman's a fly ball pitcher too, right?
Yeah.
So that's a
fastball splitter
for him. Yeah. Yeah, which is why it's so much more impressive too. The hitters who are hitting them out, but they're the guys that weren't hitting fence scrapers,
Right.
Acuña's, Freddie Freeman.
When he goes opposite field, when Acuna goes opposite field, it's 30 rows deep. It's not like he was scraping the wall.
Because those two guys right now are on pace for 45, 48 home runs, 50 home runs. I mean, and there's quite a few guys in the big leagues right now on pace for between 45 and 50 home runs.
Yeah, if you were watching the last few years, you'd have a guy like Ketel Marte. All of a sudden, he's a 30 homer guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference there is when that dude in the 8-hole can't take you deep or something like that. I mean, it'll really change the numbers for a lot of pitchers.
Albert Pujols. I was wondering where he would go if somebody would take a shot. And once the White Sox said, when La Russa said we really don't have a spot for him, I thought, well, he might not have a place to go if the White Sox and La Russa aren't going to take him. Never did I think Dodgers. And here he is. He doesn't even have to move.
I think that's why he, if you're dead set on playing every day, and that's the one thing that you'd be willing to give it up for is just to stay in the same house and have a different drive to the field.
Or man, if he's like down in Orange County, I'd be taking a helicopter. If I had his money, I'd take a helicopter to the games. Seriously, I wouldn't drive. I mean, unless you go to the park at 1 p.m.
Most guys do.
Most guys go early. Can't right now with COVID. It's early. Now they're changing it though, so you probably can. But man, that 405 or the 5, depending on where you live. If I had a $30 million salary, I'd be taking a helicopter, no doubt.
That's what they said.
Right in the
Kobe did
lot.
That, right? Didn't Kobe take the helicopter back to drive his kids to practice and stuff, or pick them up from school and then helicopter back for the game?
He just kind of took it wherever he had to go, anywhere on the other side of town or to the Staples Center. He took it all the time. But I'd have it drop me off in that big ass parking lot at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. Walk over there.
Yep. So I heard it was that. And then I was hearing JP Morrissey said he also has a long-term relationship, really close, like a family type close with Placido Polanco, who is like a special assistant now for the Dodgers. So that was also a big attraction. Polanco talked him up or whatever. He's going to end up playing with them probably about the same thing that he would have with the Angels.
Yeah.
But it's different, when you got the Angels telling you you're not going to be in the lineup much anymore, and you got the Dodgers going, we can use you a couple times a week. It's the same thing, but it's like a fresh start.
It's just a fresh start.
Yeah.
And they're winning. I mean, it's a chance to chase a ring. League. There's going to be way more pinch hit at bats in the National League than American League.
Yeah. And if you had the choice, I mean, that's landing on your feet right there.
Yeah.
If he, what a nightmare for the Angels. If he does by chance, or he's used work just right, good matchups and all that, and has a great rest of the way, or just really good, helps them win. And the Angels are paying him $29.5 million of his salary.
Let's go away
for him to play for the Dodgers of all people.
Yeah.
For Big Brother up the road.
Yeah.
That'd be like the Mets paying him to go play for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Or the White Sox to play. Well, not right now, not the White Sox to play for the Cubs, but it would in the old days.
Yeah.
So that's good to see him land on his feet. Get to rack up a few more homers. God, I was looking at how much money that dude's made. It's not A-Rod yet, but it's like $350-some million in his career.
Well, he was.
Albert.
I think people forget how good he was. I mean, he was. You weren't getting him out with St. Louis.
The best. Yeah, the bulk of that salary though has come with the Angels. He's been not very good.
Well, he's the main reason a lot of teams are afraid of those deals now. Yep.
his and a few pitching contracts, huge pitching contracts. Very few of those have worked out. Scherzer's did.
Yeah.
Kershaw's did or is, but the second one was kind of a gold wash they gave him. I thought Kershaw's not going to live up to that one.
Well, think if Freddie was hitting the market in 2008, at his age, everything he's doing.
Yeah.
Because even us talking, we're like, maybe 5 or 6 years for him.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, Freddie's probably getting a 10-year deal. It's really changed how they're doing those contracts, and that every team's afraid of guys getting old.
The one guy that you think would get that would be Acuna, but he's not going to be in a position to get it.
He already signed.
So going back to yesterday, when it was over, after Freddie had hit his grand slam in that 7-run 7th inning, that nearly brought the Braves all the way back from an 8-0 deficit. Huascar Ynoa had his first bad start in a while. Gave up 5 runs early. Braves were down 8-0. It's like, okay, mail it in, fly back home, start a homestand. Nope, they don't do that. Got to give them credit. They do not do that. Whether it's getaway day, whether it's the last game of a homestand, the Braves do not mail it in, and they are the same as last year in that regard. And because there's a lot of teams that they would have just, let's play these last 4 innings, get the hell out of here, go home.
Milwaukee definitely did them a few favors to help make it happen, but they capitalized on the things they needed to.
What a nightmarish inning those middle infielders had, or a couple of innings. Jesus, they would and Wong is like the Gold Glove winner at second base, has been.
Yeah, he missed the ball thrown right. I mean, it was a little high, but
he should have caught it and dropped the other one. And then the shortstop had 3 mistakes.
Yeah.
But so they get it to within 8-7. And you think with Devin Williams, Rookie of the Year last year, he's not pitching nearly as well as he did last year, but he's still solid. And then you got Hader. So when they go into the 9th, down 2 runs against Hader, but they put together a scoring opportunity against Hader. They could have.
They made them both work. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a run off Hader and they had 2 on. So, you won't find many teams that have back-to-back guys with the numbers that Freeman and Ozuna have against Josh Hader. They both have great numbers against him.
Yeah.
But Ozuna, he struck out Ozuna. So when he did that, I was like, okay, that was a chance there. But Riley had great at-bats and those innings. Great.
That's what was impressive about Riley's at-bat, though, because you saw Ozuna get beat by the fastball. Sped him up, and he got into a place where he didn't want to get beat by the fastball again. And that was the most obvious thing ever. When he swung at that slider, it just baffled him. He thought, you just blew these fastballs by me. There's no chance he's going to throw me anything else right now. And he dropped a slider in. That's what was so impressive about Riley's at bat, was he was getting beat by the fastball over and over. And when they dropped the slider in, he was still in a position to hit it. Yeah,
I thought Ozuna was just like caught. It was like, he just tried to get the bat on it and foul it off. But it ended up being a feeble swing, man. But you're right. And Riley didn't get fooled like that. Yeah. So when it was over and the Braves had fallen run short, it ended up being the tack-on runs. It ended up being it ended up costing them. And Snit faced questions from us about why Josh Tomlin was in there to start the 7th inning in a 1-run game after they had got to 8-7. They bring in Josh Tomlin, and he's struggled lately, giving up runs in 3 straight with like 2 runs in 3 of the last 4 and 2 runs 3 times in that. So they bring him in, and the fan base is like, oh my God, why is Tomlin in there? And then, in the 6th inning, he had left Biddle in, another guy who has struggled, but he left Biddle in. Biddle threw 13 straight balls at one point, walked 3 guys on 4 pitches, then nearly hit
Vogelback,
nearly hit him. He had a pass ball that could have been a wild pitch, and then he had a wild pitch. I mean, it was just he was falling apart, and Snit left him in there to finish the inning. So they got a couple runs there, and then Tomlin gets up a couple runs. And afterwards, people are like, why in the world were those 2 guys pitching? That ended up being the difference. Well, being a former reliever, you're watching this, while you're watching it, there's a reason those guys are in there. It's because there's guys down. And fans, a lot of fans at least, don't understand when guys are down, they're down, and unless there's absolute emergency, you're not going to use them. You've already decided that. and you're looking at big picture, and you're not sacrificing a game, so to speak. I mean, people think you're waving a white flag. There's a difference between that and being determined to keep, especially when you got a team that's not, or a bullpen that's not as deep as the Braves were. The Braves are this year. They're not like last year.
No,
You can't afford to lose Chris Martin again, like you just lost him for a month. You can't afford to lose a Mentor or Matzik, you know, certainly not Will Smith.
You can't afford him to be gassed in the playoffs either.
Right. And Mentor has looked gassed a couple of times recently.
He's looked tired.
Explain, but even before I give you what Snit said, you're watching that at home and you're thinking, there's guys down, right? You know that
immediately. Yeah. I mean, when I'm watching that, I don't criticize the decision because you just know somebody's got to be down. You know, I mean, it's like, does Snit not know that Minter would be a better option here? Right. Everybody in the world knows that's a better option here, you know, or Martin's a better option here in the seventh inning, but they're obviously not available if he doesn't bring him in. You know, the guy's not an idiot, and that's what makes it so hard. I mean, if you look back at, that's what made him so good last year was he really couldn't. Every single guy run through those top seven. You could throw bottom seven down one on the road and feel really good about it. And he didn't, you know, he doesn't want to say that when he gets asked about it, but he kind of did. He said, well, that's what we're working with today. You know, the guys are on the roster, they have a job to do, and they need them to step up. You know, it's not as much Snitker made a bad decision as the guys couldn't step up the way that he needs them to give his other relievers rest. If you look at 2011, when we had basically three guys that we were going to, we could be down 2 or up 5. Me, Johnny, and Craig were pitching. And look how it backfired in September of 11. You know, we started giving away games and blew that lead. So he has to. That's the hardest part of being a manager. You have to manage guys' health. You know, I mean, you have to decide what's more important: is today's game or the playoff run or big games in September. Like you look at Minter's on pace for like 80 games. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to take a side armor you found in Australia and just beat the shit out of him and throw him 85, 90 games a year, but look how Moreland's career turned out, just full of injuries. And I think teams, you know, I think teams have done a good job of recognizing that and not wanting to ruin guys' careers to win a game in May.
Mitchell was 20 in the first 39, so he's on pace for about 84 appearances. Matzik is on pace for about 80. These are guys with injuries histories too. You know?
Show me anybody that does that and has a good career, you know, down the road, or even strong Septembers. At some point, it's going to catch up with you.
It is. And I agree. That is the toughest part of being manager because you're going to get second guessed. And in social media day, it's one thing, do it before social media because people can't sit there for 3 hours talking to each other about what an idiot you are on a public forum on social media. When Bobby Cox was doing that, you know, they questioned him at home or in a bar, but it's different. They're not doing it on social media and they're not building this up to just, when this game's over, you better ask him about, you know, and all that. And as a manager, you got to kind of not swallow your pride, but you can't just keep going to the same guys because if you're down a run or up a run, you're going to go with your 3 guys and win this damn game.
Yeah.
They end up getting hurt. And in this day and age, that's better understood what it can do to guys long-term. And you know, and I know bullpens are fungible, but you can't just treat those guys like it doesn't matter what happens to them next year. You know, we're just going to run them into the ground this year. So you're not seeing guys with 85 appearances anymore, unless you're just that rare guy that's got a rubber arm that can do it for a few years. But there's so few of those.
Show me somebody that's kept up even say 70 games. Show me somebody that's pitched in 70 games for 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row. Show me what their career turns into. You know, I mean, everybody you see work at that pace, you just hit a wall at some point.
And you just said it earlier. It's different nowadays too, because everybody's throwing 98, 99. Everybody's throwing max effort out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
You can't run a guy up there 80 times throwing like they are, you know.
It's too much stress on the body.
Back to back days, 3 days in a row. Or as Snit was saying yesterday, you start doing those 4 out of 5s, it's not sustainable.
Right.
It's not sustainable in today's game. Guys aren't trained like that. Guys aren't, their bodies won't hold up throwing the way you're asking them to throw or the way they're expected to throw nowadays. So
those decisions happen sometimes too. And it's like, if I throw these two guys today, that's how Snit wound up in the position he was in, where he had three guys down today because he made those hard decisions and had to push them and try to win yesterday's game and the day before that. I mean, that's managing isn't just today. We gotta have guys available tomorrow. You look at your starting pitcher, who's going. If you have your worst starting pitcher tomorrow, maybe you do push the guys and you just figure, well, we're probably going to lose tomorrow,
Yeah.
But I mean, they probably were in a situation where they used some guys they wouldn't have if Noah wasn't coming and their best starting pitcher at the time. You figure you can get through a Noah's game a lot easier than you can get through Kyle Wright's game. If Kyle was going to start, you're going to save guys and manipulate it that way. So there's so much more behind those decisions than just who the best guy is for right now. And you got to be crazy to think Snit doesn't know that Tomlin's not the ideal option in that situation to be throwing in a one-run game. But I mean, he said it and he didn't, but it's basically that's who we had today, and we need those guys to get it done. And that's why bullpen depth, when teams are deep in their pen, you don't have to answer these questions. But he's not in that situation right now because there's a lot of guys struggling.
Yeah. I mean, people should be savvy enough to know you're not sitting at home with a better knowledge of his pitchers than he has. And he's got Walt Weiss sitting next to him. He's got a pitching coach and a bullpen coach.
Yeah.
They know their personnel.
Yes.
You're not smarter at home. I'm not smarter at home going, this guy would be better in this situation than that guy. People don't think like that, though. They don't think, why would Snitker have less invested in winning this game than me? You know?
Yeah, what an idiot.
Job,
what a moron. What a moron. There's just so much more to those decisions.
So yeah. The 10th of those balls, man, I was thinking yips when he threw those 13 straight balls. I was like, whoa, this is getting ugly, man. The 10th of those got past William Contreras and let in a run. And Contreras it's a good thing he's raking because he's got some power. He's got a high OBP. If he wasn't hitting at all, these glaring mistakes, defensively, the fastballs, the interference, those little things would stand out. But he's hitting so much that you live with it. And it's not like you have other options either. And he's a really talented kid. I mean, he's going to clean up the defense. It just takes experience. But it's just showing people underestimate how important this experience is for a catcher, man. There's a reason why most of the catchers spend a year or two at every level, and they come up and they don't do it. You're not like Acuna, you're not bringing up catchers at age 20 and taking over because it's the hardest position on the field as far as all the stuff you have to concentrate on. You're not up there just playing the outfield and hitting. You got to manage pitchers.
You got quarterback.
And that's your most important part of your job.
Yeah. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was watching when Biddle really struggled. He couldn't throw his fastball for a strike, and it took him until Vogelbach to call a slider and just mix it up and try something different. That's kind of that experience factor of those catchers like David Ross I was talking about, where you might be calling the right pitch by the numbers, but when you're watching this guy and analyzing him and kind of seeing what he's doing, you got to call something else when a dude has thrown 9 straight fastballs out of the zone. Something like that plays out, but that's experience too. And if you noticed, he threw the slider and it was terrible. But then when he went back to the fastball, he threw his first strike.
Yeah.
There's just little things like that you kind of pick up with experience as a catcher, where you can take that situation where Biddle just completely lost it. He just lost that feel, and now he's guiding the ball, and just break it up for him and call something different and do something different to get him back in the zone.
Mathis or Darno or Tyler Flowers would have got him out of that, I think, faster. They would have gone out there and talked to him a couple of times, whatever it took. But you're, like you said, though, just calling, and he wouldn't have been likely to shake him off either, like a Mathis puts down a signal, puts down a sign to get out of that.
Yeah.
So,
and if you don't give up that 3 spot, or if you can just turn that into a 1 run or even 2, you're back in the game.
Right. Yeah. Contreras has 3 homers, a 364 OBP, and a 943 OPS in 11 games. So you live with it, and you don't have other options right now either. So the
other thing about that inning was the one knee, catching on one knee.
Yes. I was going to get into that. Snit talked about this. We asked him last week about it after Contreras. There was another incident where he had a pass ball, and it was a costly one, or it could have been costly. And Snit said you know, I'm an old school guy. I got to be honest. I don't like it, but everybody's doing it. He goes, they don't ask me. It's not his venue. You got one of the best catching coaches in baseball, if not the best one. And that's just what everybody's doing. If you look around, like Real Muto's doing it. And like Sid said, he didn't do it when he came up, but now Real Muto's doing it. They value pitch framing so much, and they say they can do it so much faster and so much easier to pitch frame from one knee that they're willing to give up that not being able to slide over and cover. And it doesn't make much sense to me either. But everybody's doing it.
What I don't get about it is, okay, do that for 80% of the time, but when you got I think it was the White Sox walked off yesterday on a pass ball. Dude was doing one knee.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is, can you work on the other way for those big situations when maybe framing and stealing a strike isn't quite as important as not losing the game on a pass ball or tying the game or giving up a big run? Runner on third, can you catch normal and make sure you can get to the ball and block it?
You just got you wonder, is that going to be the new normal? I don't know. It could be a trendy thing that people realize, when the metrics, the analytics start coming in and going, okay, this is not offsetting this. But man,
they don't though, because the metrics just look at it in a vacuum.
Yeah.
The metrics will say, well, the 70 strikes he stole in the last week or two make up for the game are worth the pass ball, but the pass ball cost you an actual loss on the spot.
They don't look at when the pass ball happened.
No, it's just
one pass ball.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but they look at it just in a vacuum where it's like, I actually saw that end the game right there. So for me, I don't know, maybe you're not in the game if you don't frame all those strikes. Maybe the game blows up on you, but in that situation itself, can you make sure the ball doesn't get past you?
Like like you said, when on a walk-off, or like when an inning's coming unraveled on a guy, and that pass ball is huge because it just puts gasoline on the rally, the other team's rally. I agree. I don't see why it can be that important, because man, they just can't move,
Yeah.
You can't move laterally like you can when you're squatting.
Right.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Where you can slide left or right and get your glove down and block. You can't do that.
I see people talk about it every day too. If you scroll through Twitter, or you listen to the announcers on the game, they'll point it out every single time it costs the team.
Because they're older guys, they're old school, they're former players, and they don't understand it either.
Yeah. Which, I'm sure there's some balance there. If you are able to steal extra strikes, it definitely makes a difference for the pitcher, and how the game got to the point it's at. But maybe once you get to the point where a pass ball could cost you the game, you got, plan B where you can actually catch and block for a few batters.
Yeah. Okay. So getting back to those questions for Snett. First, I asked, why was Tomlin in the game to start the seventh? Was that a case of you had him warming up and it happened so quick that you couldn't get another guy warmed up? It was like, we just wanted a reason. And he said, Snit said, that was the guy that we had left pretty much. We had a bunch of guys down today. It's a situation where we didn't do a good job in the bullpen. Some of those guys, we had probably 3 guys down in the pen today. So that's kind of who we had to go with. He didn't want to throw anybody under the bus. He just said we didn't, but he said we didn't do a good job in the bullpen. The guys said, and then I pointed out AJ Minter in my story today, tied for third most appearances in the majors. He had 20 in the first 39, as was said. Showed some fatigue, pitched in 3 of his last 5 games for Sunday. He got a loss and 2 blown saves in that span. Gave up 4 runs over consecutive appearances against Toronto. That added 2 runs to his ERA, which was only 2.81 before that.
Yeah.
So now people are looking at his ERA and go, Minter sucks. I'm like, no, you see, he's just tired. He's showing fatigue, man.
Yeah.
So he's got to be one of those that wasn't. He didn't name the guys that weren't available, but he's one of those that was unavailable.
Minter, Smith, and Martin.
Matzik pitched 4 times in 7 days before getting.
He was closing
Saturday, huh?
I think Matzik was closing.
And he wasn't going to use him unless he had to with that. He had 18 appearances in 39 games. I think Snicker wanted to give him 2 days rest if he could for the homestand, or use him as the closer. But Chris Martin, he'd missed 6 weeks shoulder inflammation, pitched in 2 out of 3 games before Sunday. They were not going to have him pitch 3 out of 4.
He was down
off the IL.
Yeah, coming off the DL or IL, you're not doing that.
Right. So And then Will Smith had pitched in 3 straight games. There's no way he's pitching 4 straight games. They're not doing that. Since not doing that with like ever, unless he absolutely had to. So that's 4, and I think 3 of those guys were unavailable at least. So then I asked Snitker, or as a follow-up, about Tomlin, he had given up multiple runs in 3 of his last 5 games. So did he stay up because, it happened so quick that you couldn't give up somebody else warmed up? And he said no. And then Mark asked him, you wouldn't normally have him in the 7th inning, a 1-run game. He goes, today we would. He was our 7th inning guy today. He was pitching the 7th inning. They had already designated Tomlin.
The way you lay those things out, though, is you come up with who you want to use where. So you probably had Matzik closing because he's been, of the guys left, probably your best, right? So then you probably had Newcomb and Jackson ready to match up in the 8th. And then you had Webb and Tomlin left to choose from. Mm-hmm. Webb's had a few blow-ups lately.
Right.
And so 1-run game. Tomlin was probably pitching no matter what. Whether you're down, however, because he can just take the ball. And I know he struggled lately, but his track record's been he can keep games realistic. So that was how you had it set up. And you don't want to throw, if you're looking at it and Nuke gets in trouble in the 8th and you're trying to stay away from Matzik for that day if you can. Mm-hmm. So now you're throwing Luke in the 7th. Who you got for the 8th? You can't match up in the 8th. And you want to put Newcomb in a good situation or Jackson in a good situation because Jackson's been pretty damn good this year. Yeah. Nuke's come back and not been the same guy he was before. So you're looking at it and it's kind of like these are my choices. You were going to go with Tomlin or Webb, and that's what he picked. And
Luke pitched a clean 8th, by the way. It was the only clean inning of the day it was the only inning Braves faced fewer than 5 guys in an inning.
Yeah.
He had 2 strikeouts in that 8th. Yeah, he's pitched well, man.
But if Luke got in trouble, you're not going to, when you're trying to stay away from Matzik, you're not going to ask Matzik to go multiple on a day you're trying to stay away from him.
Right. And Tomlin, if you're down 8 runs or whatever, he could have pitched the 7th inning.
Let him finish the game.
Or 9th. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If he's going good again. Hey, Cam, you got some ads to read? We'll get back to this. You got make us some money?
Yeah, let's make some money right now. And real quick, did you see that text I sent you about Biddle being DFA'd?
I did not see that.
Yeah, he was DFA'd, and then Tucker was just recalled. Shout out to the chat for bringing that up. But we can hammer through these real quick and get back to that. All right. But let's start with Topps. The presenting sponsor for 755 is real. Make sure to check out Topps.com and Topps Project 70. Topps is celebrating the 70th anniversary of its very first baseball card design with a new program that pushes boundaries while paying homage to their heritage. Founded in 1938 as a chewing gum company, Topps released their first baseball card set in 1951. Now, 7 decades later, Topps has teamed up with 51 artists and creatives from around the globe to revisit and reimagine 70 years of Topps' most iconic baseball card designs through a year-long program called Project 70. Topps has teamed up with some fantastic artists and creators like Snoop Dogg, Action Bronson, did I mention Snoop Dogg, and so many other individuals. Each artist will select their own MLB players and Topps design from any year to craft a unique story. Have you thought about what Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle would look like in a 1980s Topps design? Or how about Fernando Tatis Jr. in a classic template from the 1950s? Hey, make sure to look out for special cards as well. Keep in mind, all these cards are available for 70 hours and then they're gone. But some of the special cards include a rainbow foil edition, which is randomly inserted into each card's print, as well as a gold frame edition. And also keep in mind, there is a silver frame artist-proof edition as well. So many editions, so many different varieties of these cards, all rare and special, up for only 70 hours. You can learn more at Topps.com and make sure to check out Project 70 while you're there. And hey, before we move on, BetMGM. If you sign up today with BetMGM, the exclusive betting partner of The Athletic, you get a $1,000 risk-free first bet plus 3 free months of The Athletic. That's right, $1,000 risk-free bet and a 3-month subscription to The Athletic. Just sign up at betmgm.com and make sure to use the promo code 755REAL. That's 755-REAL to take advantage of this special offer from the king of sportsbooks. That's betmgm.com/755-REAL. New customer offer, paid in bonus dollars. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff, man.
Quick one.
Try to hammer through it.
But I don't hear any Magic Spoon cereal coming my way.
Magic Spoon decided to take the day off. Instead, there's the Lawnmower 4.0 if you want to hear about that from Manscaped. No, you don't want to hear what?
No.
Okay, all right.
No. I've got a lawnmower. It's a Honda, self-propelled. That's all I need. Thank you. Jesse Biddle got DFA'd. Tucker Davidson called up. Good young arm, Tucker. Interested to see what he can do. He's a good prospect. Jesse Biddle, 8.44 ERA in 8 appearances, 8 walks in 10 2/3 innings. Yesterday was just too much. That was the final straw, and they realized it ain't happening. So DFA.
The stuff. He has the stuff. And I think he just needs to get Matt out there. You know, it's like I watch him, he's like he's pitching not to fail. You know, you can't do that.
Places it get bouncing around. I'm sure mentally you start to
mentally it just beats you up. Then you get put in those situations, and he looks like he doesn't want to mess up instead of attacking hitters and being aggressive. You know, he's one adjustment away though. I mean, I always say that, but you look at the stuff he has. There's no reason he can't pitch in this league. But you got to make that move after yesterday.
Since 2019, he went Atlanta to Seattle to Texas in 2019. Those 3. Cincinnati last year only made 1 appearance in the big leagues, and then Atlanta this year. So he's 29 now.
Yeah.
Remember, he didn't debut. He was a former first rounder of the Phillies, and he didn't debut in the big leagues. Yeah, a lot of injuries. And he was like a big feel-good story when he debuted with the Braves at age 26 in 2018. And remember, he was really good initially with the Braves that year. I mean, he was really good. Had just one after another big appearance and kept moving them to higher leverage situations. God, I'm looking at his numbers that year. In 2018 with the Braves, he made 60 appearances at a 3.11 ERA with 67 strikeouts and 63 2/3 innings. But even that year, he had 31 walks. You know, it's one of those when he starts walking guys, they just rack up in a hurry.
Yeah.
So getting back to that follow-up question to Snit and about using Tomlin in the 7th. You know, Bo said, you wouldn't normally have him in a 7th inning 1-run game. And he goes, today we would. Today he was going to be the guy. Snit said, today we were using him in the 7th. I mean, that was the guy we had today for the 7th inning. And he said, we had guys down. Everybody in the bullpen has got to share the load because we cannot keep using the core group of guys and have them healthy for the year. Guys are going to have to – we've got, 8, 9 guys. They're all going to have to step up and do it. Josh Tomlin, we're all going to have to step up. Josh Tomlin has pitched the 8th inning for us before and been really good. Yeah. I don't feel bad when I put Josh Tomlin out there. He said, if you don't remember, he went 4 1/3 or whatever in that game. Was the May 7th game against the Phillies when he came in for Charlie, when Charlie got knocked out in the 1st inning against a really good team and threw up a bunch of zeros and saved our ass. That was Snit yesterday. He said, we've got guys down. We've got guys we don't want to use because when you get too many 3 appearances out of 4 and all that, it's not going to sustain in the next 3 or 4 months. We're going to have to use everybody. So that's him basically saying what you just said a while ago is we do not have the guys we had last year. Like you said, last year, he could have sat 3 or 4 guys one day and you hardly
wouldn't even know
because the next 4 guys were really good.
Yeah. And you wouldn't even know who was down.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when you have that's
obvious.
It's obvious when guys are down because you bring guys in and maybe this isn't the best move right now. What an idiot Snicker is. And then if you're watching the game and you look back in the last 3 or 4 and you see how much the guys that you think are a better decision right now aren't in the game, they're either pushed into a higher role or they're unavailable that day.
Yeah. And then I asked him, is that the same reasoning why Biddle was that you kept him in the 6th, went from a 5-0 lead to an 8-0 lead? He said, yeah. He said, the guys have to do their job. The guys that are down there, they've got to do their job. And if they don't, it hurts a comeback like this, but we've got to use everybody. We've got too much left. And like I said, when you start 3 out of 4 in, as he said, after that, a lot of guys need 2 days off.
Yeah.
Said it's 1 game and we've got 150 left or whatever it is. It's 112.
Yeah.
But I could understand where you would start to, actually it's 122 because they played 40.
Yeah.
You need every one of those guys down there. So anyway, that was Snit yesterday. And,
but that also goes back to the point we made time and time again of how important Josh Tomlin was last year.
Yeah.
When he wasn't doing this, when he come into when you could use him in this situation, he just put up a 0 in the 7th.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't going to stay in that 7th inning or 8th inning role, but you could throw him out there when you were down, or when he would come in the 5th inning and eat up the rest of the game and keep those other guys fresh. This is the perfect example of how important it is, the role he was doing well. And look what happens when he falters. You know, I mean, it costs the whole game. It costs the bullpen. It puts you in a tough spot.
So real quick, let's go over the rally they had because it was one. I mean, if they would have pulled this off, that would be one you never forget. I mean, you just don't see teams come back from 8-0 in 1 inning that late, that quickly. It just doesn't happen.
That was the Brooks Conrad games. Only time I've seen it.
Yes. In the 9th inning. Yes. That's the only other time like that. And then that Red Sox game, the Red Sox did it against the Braves 2 years ago in the 9th inning getaway day in Atlanta. So Inoa, you've been your best starter so far. Been 4-0 with a 1.11 ERA, 1.11. Yeah, his previous 4 starts, he got roughed up. 9 hits and 5 runs in 4 1/3 innings. Just a reminder, hey, he's a mortal, man. He's gonna have. He is a mortal. He's going to have some bad games. He's still a young kid, man, learning.
Yeah.
Snit asked him, what the difference was in that start in the previous 4. And Snit said, I saw a young kid that was taking another step. I mean, he had some adversity. It was a young guy that's been doing really well, and things weren't clicking today. It was just some things that we'll have. It didn't go his way, and he didn't help himself. I guess you could put it like that. Inoa said it just felt like some pitches weren't going my way or falling in spots I wanted to. He was missing with his fastball. But at the same time, you have to give credit to the hitters on the other team. I was missing spots. You know, you have your good days and bad days, and you learn from the bad days. But anyway, Braves are down 8-0. And until that game against the Phillies, they had not shown much of that late innings. We never say die attitude that they'd had in the previous 3-4 years under Snit. But that Philly game they did, and this one they did. They're down 8-0, and they came out in that 7th inning. And it was so fast. Okay. The weird thing, Ozzie Albies was the first and last batter of that inning. He made the first and last outs of that inning.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks when you make 2 outs in 1 inning.
And I did it like that. Yeah. And he said, here's how it went between those 2 outs, though. They're facing, and this wasn't pointed out on the air, I don't think. JP Firerising. That guy had an 0.50 ERA and 19 appearances before he entered that game to start the 7th inning. Another guy's been used a lot.
Yeah.
He got Albies to fly out to start the inning. And then here's what happened. Dansby Swanson infield single. Austin Riley walk. William Contreras walk. Ender and Ciarte 2-run single. He about took Firerising's hat off. Braves down 8-2. Out went Firerising. In came left-hander Brent Suter, who had a 3.43 ERA before Sunday. Pablo Sandoval reaches on a fielder's choice to Luis Urias, the shortstop. Should have thrown to first base. He would have had Sandoval for the sure out, but he went to second. It was too late. Would have been a real close play with Ender running, but Colton Wong didn't catch the ball anyway, so it was definitely out. There was no error charge because it looked like NCRD might have been safe. Adrianza reaches on a fielder's choice again to Urias, who this time he was charged with an error on a high toss to Wong. It's still a catchable ball, though. Wong should have caught it still.
Yeah, he should have had that one.
Contreras scored on that play. Braves trail 8-3. Freddie Freeman, grand slam to center on the first pitch hanging curveball from Suter. Especially encouraging because it was against a lefty. Boom, from 8-3 to 8-7. That's how fast it happened. Freeman's 11th homer, second in as many days, 4th in 8 games. Braves are down 8-7. They've scored 7 runs since making that first out, without an out. Riley laughed. He said, it happened very fast. He said, that's just baseball. Sometimes surprises you in so.
Dave gone?
Comcast can't come quick enough. Make sure to sign up to The Athletic by visiting theathletic.com/755 Israel. You can subscribe there for just $3.99 a month and maybe expedite Comcast coming out to set up David's new internet. And I guess while he's restarting, we can quickly shift over and read one more ad. This one, guys, if you're having problems in the bedroom, it's perfectly okay. Make sure to visit GetRoman.com/755 Israel. The whole process is discreet and simple. You get free 2-day shipping. When you find the best plan that is suitable for you, you go to GetRoman.com/755 Israel to complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. 755 Israel. That's the promo code you use at GetRoman.com. You get $15 off your first month. Again, GetRoman.com/755, $15 off your first month of treatment. And you're muted, David.
Why'd you mute me, man?
I didn't do anything.
So, to get the grand slam, happened just like that. Then Marcell Ozuna grounds out. Albie struck out the end of the 7th. The crowd in Milwaukee, man, it was like they were stunned. It would have been 8-0, and then all of a sudden it's 8-7, and Freddie's hit a grand slam, and they're like, what just happened? But they know they got, Hader waiting. So then they did those tack-on runs. Otherwise, I thought so much of the momentum had shifted. I thought there's no way the Braves lose this game, but I wasn't thinking they got guys that are sitting. They're going to have to use some guys that they wouldn't normally use in this. So, but I thought that was a game though. They were going to come back and end up winning by 3 or 4 runs. The way that momentum swung so fast.
Even losing that game though, I mean that's the team that how many times we talked about that last year where they were down 5 and you didn't feel like the game was over.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this team was known for. And I mean, it does show the importance of the bullpen, keeping it close and doing their job. But that for me is encouraging just to see them get back in that game. And they made Williams work, who I think he won Rookie of the Year last year. I'm not certain, but he's a really good reliever.
It's like record setting last year.
Yeah. And they made Hader work. They put up 1 on both of them. So,
and Hader hasn't blown a save this year. He's been great.
Yeah.
So they got 7 runs in that inning on 2 walks, 2 singles, multiple Milwaukee mistakes on fielder's choice grounders, and the majors leading 5th grand slam for the Braves. No other team has more than 3, and there's only 7 teams that even have more than 1. Braves have got 5 grand slams already. Crazy. One of those crazy things, man. Jesus, they were not done. They added 2 in the 7th, like we said, after the Brewers added 2 in the 7th, push it to 10-7. I thought that was impressive how the Braves came back again against Devin Williams. And that was pretty cool, and do that on the road especially.
And they almost had him for more. If he didn't have that changeup he had, I mean, there's not a lot of pitches that you can throw comfortably to Acuna right there and feel like you're getting a strikeout. But he threw his best one maybe of the season to get him. I mean, they were in a position with Acuna coming up. They could have taken the lead.
And that's rough for Acuna. He's been sitting there for 2 days, hadn't swung and played at all, hadn't gotten in at all.
Yeah.
And he's not pinch hit. He's only pinch hit 5 times in his career. So he's going over there trying to hit it out, man.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, hell of a series for the Braves. Brewers are really struggling, so they took advantage of that, did what they're supposed to. Now they come home, they get 3 against the Mets. Then they got 4 against the Pirates at home. Really got a chance to have at least win 5 out of 7 on this homestand. So I think if you win 2 out of 3 against the Mets, you've got to win at least 3 out of 4 against the Pirates. They might be the worst team. Definitely one of the worst 3 teams in baseball. So they could win 5 out of 7, 6 out of 7 even on this homestand. It's got a chance to really do some, in the good crowds like last week when they opened it up 100% capacity. That really makes a difference when not many places are having these huge crowds yet. So we'll see. But they got a chance. Every time they get to 500, they can't get past 5. They haven't been over 500 one day all year. So every time they get close to get to 500 or close, seems like they lose 2 out of 3 or get swept, against the Blue Jays and fall back. So this is a chance to really get over that hump for the Braves. They've got to come out of this homestand over 500 because they go in 2 under 500.
I'd bet on it.
Yeah. So we'll see, but heck of a week. Getting Acuna back should be big. Now that you got some other guys going good, you got Ozuna going now, you got Riley going again, you got Freddie hitting now. So just when it started to look pretty hopeless for that offense, now you got about 4 or 5 guys going. Dansby needs, if he can correct his home road splits, because he's a menace at home, man. He's hitting great at home.
Yeah, and even just looking at it and seeing that for me, they have not played well.
No.
And, maybe some other teams are doing them a favor by not pulling away and doing what they're capable of. But really, I think it's going to be like this all year.
Yeah.
But if they get hot, they could pull away. I mean, you could see this team a month from now have a 5-game lead.
No doubt. Yeah. Dansby, those were 2 big hits they had at the end of the day yesterday because he was in a hell of a skid there for that. So those were 2 good to leave Milwaukee on those hits in his last 2 at bats. It comes up big in the late innings, it seems like. So, all right, we'll talk again on Thursday or Friday after the Braves face the Mets a few times. It'll be good to see them after playing all these other teams out of the division and everything.
Yeah. First time, right?
Yeah. Lindor's, they got to hope he still struggles because he's like hitting under 200, man.
Yeah.
That ain't going to last forever.
I don't think so either.
All right. 755 is real. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. We're out. Good job, Cam, with the ads there at the